The Tarnished Archive. I've spent more hours than I care to admit exploring Elden Ring's hauntingly beautiful world. The lands between felt endless. Every corner hid a new story. Every ruin whispered of a forgotten age. But I always thought I knew the boundaries of the map. I thought I'd seen everything it had to offer. I was wrong. This story begins in Liurnia of the Lakes. I was revisiting the area after completing the game months ago. The shimmering water, the ruins jutting from the lake bed, and the towering Raya Lucaria Academy always felt both serene and foreboding. On this particular night, I had a strange goal: to explore areas that didn't seem to serve any gameplay purpose. Little nooks that looked like they were meant to be just background dressing, or ledges I couldn't quite reach. It was a strange obsession, but From Software is known for hiding its greatest treasures in plain sight. I was at the lakeshore, near the Boil Prawn Shack. Fog rolled in unusually thick that night in-game, reducing visibility to almost nothing. As I wandered aimlessly along the edge of the lake, I noticed something strange, a weathered dock extending just a few feet into the water. I was sure this wasn't there before. It didn't lead anywhere, and no NPC was nearby. It looked out of place, even in a game world filled with mysteries. I walked onto the dock, expecting it to be just another environmental detail. But as I reached the end, a prompt appeared: Summon Vessel. That wasn't normal. I hesitated for a moment, but curiosity got the better of me, and I pressed the button. The screen faded to black, and a cutscene began. My character knelt at the dock as an ancient, rotting boat emerged from the mist. Its hull was covered in barnacles, and tattered sails hung loosely from broken masts. A figure, cloaked in rags and with a gnarled oar in hand, motioned for me to board. Without input from me, my character climbed aboard, and the boat silently pushed off into the fog. When the screen faded back in, I found myself in a completely uncharted area. The boat had brought me to a cluster of islands surrounded by turbulent black waters. The map refused to update. It was just blank space. I disembarked onto a rocky shore, the boat disappearing into the mist behind me. The islands were a jagged, inhospitable place. The first area I explored was a crumbling watchtower, its stones slick with seawater. Inside, I found only silence. No enemies, no NPCs, no loot. Just the sound of waves crashing against the rocks below. As I climbed to the top, I noticed a broken telescope pointed out toward the horizon. When I interacted with it, the camera zoomed in on something unsettling. A massive, half-sunken cathedral in the distance, its spires reaching skyward like the bones of some colossal beast. I had no choice but to continue. Traversing the islands was treacherous. Slippery rocks, sudden drop-offs, and narrow paths made progress slow. Occasionally I'd find structures, collapsed bridges, weathered statues of long-forgotten kings, and altars covered in strange glyphs. These glyphs weren't readable, even with the game's lore items. They didn't match anything I'd seen before. The strangest part: there were no enemies. Not a single soldier, beast, or ghost haunted this place. It felt abandoned, yet alive in a way that made my skin crawl. After hours of exploration, I finally reached the sunken cathedral. The entrance was partially submerged, forcing me to wade through knee-deep water that rippled unnaturally. The architecture was unlike anything I'd seen in the lands between. Where most ruins bore the signature of the Erdtree's influence, this place felt older, predating the Golden Order entirely. Inside, the air was thick with moisture. Moss and algae clung to every surface, and the walls were adorned with carvings of humanoid figures with elongated limbs, their faces obscured by spiraling, shell-like helmets. At the far end of the hall was a massive altar, its surface carved with a map of the lands between. Except, this map was wrong. It showed areas I'd never seen before, places far beyond the known edges of the world. As I approached the altar, my character stopped moving. A system message appeared: "Do you seek the Tarnished Archive?" It wasn't a dialogue choice. The game automatically selected yes. The map on the altar began to glow, and my character was pulled into it. The screen went white. When the screen faded back in, I was in a sprawling library. The shelves were impossibly tall, stretching into darkness above. Books and scrolls were scattered everywhere, and the air buzzed faintly, as if charged with electricity. This wasn't like the grand library of Raya Lucaria. It was darker, more chaotic, as though it had been abandoned for centuries. The archive was a maze. Shelves twisted and spiraled in unnatural patterns, defying logic. Occasionally, I'd come across an open book displaying strange diagrams, maps of fragmented worlds, sketches of monstrous creatures I didn't recognize, and writings in a language I couldn't decipher. One book, when I interacted with it, displayed a single phrase: "The Tarnished are but echoes of another age." Deeper into the archive, I began to find signs of something, or someone, else. Footprints in the dust, recently extinguished candles, a door swinging shut just as I turned a corner. Yet still, no enemies, no NPCs, only the sound of my own footsteps and the occasional groan of the ancient structure. Finally, I reached the heart of the archive. A massive circular room, its walls lined with windows that looked out into a swirling void. In the center was a pedestal, and upon it sat a single item, a key. It was labeled simply Key to the First Flame. When I picked it up, the screen darkened. A voice, not a whisper, but a commanding, thunderous voice, boomed through my speakers. You were never meant to see this. The screen faded to black, and the game crashed. When I relaunched Elden Ring, my save file was intact, but the game world felt off. NPCs I had previously met acted as if they didn't know me. Some areas, like Stormvale Castle and Caelid, were completely inaccessible, blocked by impenetrable walls of fog, and in the pause menu, under the inventory tab, I found the key to the First Flame still in my possession. I've scoured forums, wikis, and subreddits, but no one else has found the Forgotten Archipelago or the Tarnished Archive. The key remains in my inventory, but it does nothing. Every now and then, I'll find myself staring at it, wondering if it's meant to unlock something in this world, or perhaps in another. If you find the dock near the Boil Prawn Shack, please contact me. I want to know that I'm not alone in this, and I want to find whatever it is this key opens.